We're broadcasting live from the Fox Radio studios in Washington, D.C. this morning, here for the White House Correspondents' Dinner tomorrow night in Washington, and perfect opportunity to broadcast the show from Washington and bring in our elected officials to see what's on their plate here in Washington and what's relevant, what their constituents are asking about back there at home. This half hour, I'm happy to be joined by our Congressman Tom Cotton. We'll also be joined with Democratic consultant Eric Wilson, who does work for the Arkansas Democratic Party. A lot of social media work Eric does. In the second hour, Ron Fournier, an old friend of Arkansas who was with the Associated Press and now in Washington with National Journal. He covered the Clinton administration back when he was governor and followed him here to Washington. So Mr. Fournier goes to Washington. We're going to visit with him. And also in the last half hour, Senator John Bozeman and Congressman Steve Womack will visit with us about issues going on here in our nation's capital that affect all of you back in Arkansas. We're back once again with Congressman Tom Cotton. Congressman, thanks for staying with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's great to be here.
I'm so glad you had time. I know it's early, but you're a military guy, so you're used to this. You've probably already run a few miles, done a bunch of push-ups.
I am. By this time in the morning here, when we're in Washington in session, I usually get up and go for a morning run on the mall. I used to do that when I was in the Old Guard at Arlington National Cemetery, so it's not that unusual for me to be up early here.
The weather here is perfect for that, and it's so nice to go down there by the mall.
Beautiful spring week, and yeah, running down the mall. You do see a lot of soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marine down the malls because, you know, all the services are representative here, and they have junior enlisted soldiers stationed pretty close to the mall, so it's a pretty common sight.
Right. Well, you are on the Foreign Affairs Committee and also Financial Services, so you're keeping a close eye on a lot of the foreign affairs matters, obviously. Right. And a lot of times you'll go on the House floor and give a speech, and you give your speech and all goes well, and you never hear anything else about it. But that was not the case this week. You gave quite a pertinent speech, pretty harsh on President Obama on the number of acts of terror we've had since he's been in office as opposed to President Bush after 9/11. Yeah. Tell us about your speech, and you've certainly gotten some pushback from the mainstream media.
I have. I gave a speech on Wednesday contrasting Barack Obama's failures of counterterrorism versus George Bush's successes after the 9/11 attacks. Terrorists in America have reached their target 5 times since Barack Obama took office. You had the Boston Marathon bombing, the Times Square bomber, the underwear bomber, the Fort Hood shooter, and in our own state, the Little Rock recruiting office shooter.
Right.
Now, 2 of those terrorists failed, the underwear bomber and the Times Square bomber, because of poor bombcraft, but I don't think relying on terrorist incompetence is a successful counterterrorism program. The main point is they reached the point of their attack. But after 9/11, in George Bush's 7+ years remaining in office, 0 terrorists reached their target. If you look at the contrast between those 5 and the Obama administration, you'll see that all of them had known associations with terrorist groups. They were posting on the internet. They were traveling to places like Yemen to study with the radical and now dead anti-American cleric Anwar al-Awlaki. So I simply went to the floor and pointed out this record because we often don't know what counterterrorism policies and programs a president is pursuing because those are shrouded in secrecy as they should be, but we can judge by the results. And I learned in the Army that there are no A's for effort in war. You have mission success or you have mission failure. And I think the president right now is failing in part because he's doing things like Mirandizing known terrorists, or rather than sending them to Guantanamo Bay, sending them, as he did with Osama bin Laden's son-in-law, to New York City for trial in a federal criminal court.
And as is said oftentimes after these incidents is we have to be correct 100% of the time, right, and they only have to be right one time.
Right, right.
And you gave this speech, which was spot on. And
I gave a speech on Wednesday, and I think it was on 2 or 3 different MSNBC shows later that day, and then it was on the Today Show a couple times yesterday, Fox and Friends as well. So I think it got a little bit more attention than Some of my speeches typically do, and while a few of Barack Obama's liberal allies didn't seem to like me pointing out his failures, the response we've received from Arkansans has been overwhelmingly positive, because they, like every American, doesn't want our country attacked by terrorists and don't want to lose a war to radical Islamic jihadists who are making war against us not only overseas but increasingly in the United States as well.
And what kind of efforts underway? Obviously, with the Foreign Affairs Committee, what kind of feedback did you certainly got some pushback from the mainstream media. What about Democratic colleagues?
I received very positive feedback from Republican colleagues in the Congress who tend to see things like Fox and Friends or the Drudge Report, where the speech was also featured. But a few of our Democratic friends on the Foreign Affairs Committee who take our national security seriously also said that they have the same kind of similar concerns. I mean, if you look, for instance, at what's happened in Boston, not many Democrats have come out strongly in favor of Mirandizing the younger brother who committed those attacks, and rather than continuing to interrogate him.
Right. My guest is Congressman Tom Cotton from Arkansas, obviously, and just we've got a couple of minutes left. Any big issues you're working on the next few weeks that you'd like to tell the folks back home about?
Well, unfortunately, the news yesterday out of Syria was very, very bad. The United States government has now confirmed that the Syrian government has used chemical weapons against its own people, which is a violation of the laws of war, the 1925 Geneva Treaty. As important, the president himself has said that that was a red line that Syria could not cross. Having stated that red line, the president now must take action. This is akin to what happened in the West in 1936 when Hitler remilitarized the Rhineland, and Great Britain and France took no action, even though Hitler later said that he was deeply terrified for 24 hours that they would, and he would have retreated in humiliation if they had. When you draw red lines in national security and foreign affairs, you can't let them be crossed. It's much less drawing a line on a playground and telling a bully you'll punch him in the face if he walks across it. And if he walks across it, you have to punch him. And if we don't take action against Syria now, whatever that may be, what kind of message does that send to Iran, for instance, when we've said it's a red line if they start to weaponize their uranium enrichment program? It sends a terrible message. And the president, I would say, has a choice now, as the West did, in Churchill's words, between humiliation and war. And if he chooses humiliation, we will one day get war.
Right, and this is an opportunity to show peace through strength.
Right.
Congressman Cotton, we've got just 30 seconds left, and a lot of folks are curious what your plans are. There's a couple of races, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, there's a 5K in 3 weeks.
And there's a 10K, and there's a couple marathons on the. Now, in terms of your future, there's obviously a Senate race against Mark Pryor, governor's race. What are your plans right now in terms of 2014?
I don't really have any 2014 plans right now. I'm still trying to survive through April of 2013.
All right, Congressman Tom Cotton, so appreciate your time. I know it's an early day, but appreciate you.
My pleasure. Great to be here, Alice. Thank you for coming to Washington.
Appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
All right, you